Hello, Julie here, and thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel today. I'm going to be making two Christmas cards, and I'm going to be using Denise Boddey papers. These papers are from her Elegance collection, and the particular paper that I'm using is called Glory. I'm also going to use a die from Denise Boddey, and this one is called Poinsettia, just Poinsettia Die, and it's number DB656. I'll put a link in the description box if that's helpful. Yeah, so a few Christmas. Oh, I'm also going to be using some of her Christmas toppers that I've fussy cut. Both of these cards are fun folds. This first one, I don't know really what it's called. It's a cross between an easel card and a stepper card. So anyway, I'm cutting a piece of white cardstock 5 1/4 by 12, and I'm also cutting one 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Now I'm going to score that longest piece along the 12-inch edge. I'm going to score at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 1/2 inches, 9 inches and 10 1/2 inches. Now I'm going to start folding that along my score marks. I'm going to do mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain. So just zigzag your way through it. Make sure you burnish your folds once you have finished folding it. So that gives us 3 peaks and 2 valleys. We're going to use that larger piece in the back valley to make the back of the card. I would suggest that you use a fairly sturdy cardstock for this card base. If the cardstock is too thin, it won't hold its shape. Time now to cut my pattern paper. As I said, I'm using Denise Boddey Elegance Collection paper, and this particular paper is called Glory. Now I'm going to cut pattern paper that's going to go onto the front section of each of those panels. So just the panels that you're going to see when the card is shut. The backs of the panels won't be covered in pattern paper, so I'm cutting a piece 5 inches by 5 inches, another piece 5 inches by 2 1/4 inches, and another one that's 5 inches by 1 3/4 inches. You can see I'm leaving a little white border all the way around my pattern papers on each level. I'm going to use my Prima distressing tool to distress the edges of all of my pattern papers. Once I've done that, I'm going to use my Versa Colour black ink cube to ink all of those edges. I am making Christmas cards, but I'm trying to make Christmas cards this year that are not in the traditional Christmas colours. I will make some in traditional Christmas colours, but I thought I'd try this colour for a change. Once I've distressed all of my edges, I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach them to the front panels of my card. The front panel is the 2-inch panel, and the pattern paper that I'm adding to that is 1 3/4 inches by 5 inches. Before I attach the pattern paper to my back panel, I'm going to attach the back panel to the card base, the concertina piece. To do that, I'm just going to add plenty of double-sided tape to the inside section of that last V panel. So we've got a mountain fold at the back, so not the piece that we've already put the pattern paper on, but the back piece, which is the shortest V. I'm going to put double-sided tape on that, and then I'm going to stick that 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock to it, and that's going to be the back panel of my card. To decorate this card, I'm going to cut some poinsettias using this die. It's from Denise Boddey and it's DB656 and it's called Poinsettia Die. I've cut 3 from white, well, it's really paper. It's a bit thicker than printer paper, but it's actually paper, you know, when you buy a scrapbooking album, and it comes with the white sheets inside of it. Well, this is one of those sheets, and I've used that to cut 3 sets of those poinsettia dies. I'm going to now assemble them. I'm not putting any shaping into these flowers. I'm just using my liquid glue and layering the layers on top of each other. It comes with 5 layers and plus a little centre. I was thinking about doing the centres in gold, but I thought that might be a bit overpowering, even though they're very small. But yeah, so I'm just using my liquid glue, layering each one of those 5 dies on top of each other, staggering the petals so that they're offset, just to make my poinsettia look a bit fuller. So I'll do that with all 3. I decided to use these Uniquely Creative champagne pearls to add the centres of my poinsettias. They add a little bit of bling without being too overpowering. Time now to add my poinsettias to my card base. I'm going to use my art glitter glue for that, and I'm going to add 1 poinsettia to each level of my card. Now I'm going to add my sentiment. These are just sentiments that I printed out on my computer. I print out an assortment of fonts and sizes just on one sheet, and then as I need them I just cut them up. So I'm just applying this flat to the front section of my card, so that first little section over the top of that Morning Glory, I guess it is. So here we have a side profile of the card. So the last thing I'm going to do for this card is add a little bit of the clear Wink of Stella to the largest top petals, so the plain top petals. I started off using this Wink of Stella but quickly realised that it was just about expired, so I ended up using my Uniquely Creative glimmer pen. So that's my first card for today. I'm quite happy with it, but I think if I did it again I would make that back part where the actual piece joins onto, that piece at the back that actually holds the card up, I think I'd make that a bit bigger so that it held the card up a bit nicer. My second card is a gatefold card, and it will be 5 1/4 inches square when it's finished. So I've cut a piece of cardstock that's 5 1/4 by 10 1/2. I'm scoring at 2 5/8 and 7 7/8 of an inch. Then I'm folding each of those outside panels in towards the centre of the card, and they should meet nicely in the middle. Once again, use your bone folder and score your folds nicely. Then I'm going to cut another piece of cardstock that is 3 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and that will be the panel that goes on the front of my gatefold card. Time now to cut my pattern paper. I'm using the same pattern paper. I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 2 3/8 by 5 inches and 1 piece that is 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. I've given the edges the same treatment as I did on the previous card. Now that Prima distressing tool that I'm using, I don't think that's available anymore, but there is one that Tim Holtz puts out that's just a round circular thing, and it's got blades in little grooves in it, and that is easy enough to use as well. Actually, I think it's a little bit more aggressive than the one I'm using at the moment. But of course, if you haven't got a distressing tool, you can just use blade on your scissors to do the same thing. So now I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach those layers to the two front panels and that loose panel that we've cut. Now I'm going to attach the front panel to the card. So this is going sideways, so the wider side, the 4 1/4 inch side, is to the top. And when you add your double-sided tape to that, you only want to add double-sided tape to the left-hand half. Not like me, I added double-sided tape to the whole thing and then realised my mistake. I have made these cards before, but it just slipped my mind to do that. So yes, just add sticky tape or double-sided tape to half of your panel and then attach it so that the right-hand side of the panel is free to open when the card is open. Now Denise has some A4 sheets of Christmas toppers in her shop, and I can't show you the full sheet because I got very industrious and fussy cut them all out, and that is what I'm going to use to decorate the front of this card. Now I'm just flicking through or having a look at various options here, trying to make my mind up which way to go. I would have went with the Christmas tree, except it's just a little bit too tall and I didn't want to have to trim it off, so I ended up going with that little fawn because I think it's cute. And yeah, so I tried, as I said, various options, but I end up going with the fawn. Once I'd decided, I used my ink cube to ink around the edge of my fussy cut piece. This hides a multitude of sins, so any bits and pieces that are not quite cut perfectly, this black ink does cover those sorts of things up and makes it look a lot better finish than it really is. Some people use a texture or a black marker and draw around the edge from the back, just so they just colour the real edge of it, not the actual front of it at all. That works as well. But by putting a finishing touch around the edge, whether it be with the ink cube or a pen, it just makes it look a lot better. So I always do that with my fussy cutting. I'm not perfect at fussy cutting, especially around some of those finicky little bits. So what I'm going to do is ink around the edge of this, and then I'm going to use foam tape to attach it to that front panel. There are some sentiments amongst those topper sheets that Denise has, and so I'm just going to choose one from there. This is printed onto like a bit thicker paper than normal, so it does hold its own shape. Anyway, I'm going to choose one of those sentiments. I'm going to distress the edges and ink around the edges of that as well, and then I'm going to attach it to the bottom of the right hand panel. So that will finish off my second card for today. I'm only doing 2 cards today. I will be making more in this style because I do actually like the blue and white for Christmas. So yeah, I hope you get the opportunity to try doing Christmas cards in non-traditional Christmas colours because it's quite fun. Anyway, thank you for watching my video today. I hope you've got some inspiration from it and maybe a technique that you haven't tried before, so hopefully you will give that a try, and I hope that you can join me when I post my next video. Thank you.